We love our video games, but we don't love paying for them. The price of games is pretty high, but fortunately, hey, guess what? Time heals all wounds, including the $70 price point that's becoming more and more standard. And I'm not talking because of inflation devaluing our money, I'm talking because the prices eventually go down. In some cases, by large amounts. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 15 games that are now dirt cheap. Before we get going, it is important to say there's some regular caveats here. Certain deals might no longer be available by the time we put this up. We're trying, but just remember, sales are going on pretty much all the time, and the prices we're talking about here are mostly the standard sale prices for games rather than outliers. So the next time these games go on sale, and they probably will, it's pretty likely that they'll hit these prices or even lower. So keep that in mind, keep your eyes peeled, and let's get moving. Starting off with number 15, it's the Dead Space remake. 2023 had an influx of new games that are actually really good, so it was pretty easy to overlook the fantastic Dead Space remake. And saying that is absolutely bonkers to me. The idea that so many quality things came out that this remake is actually competing for attention, but it is. It doesn't completely reinvent the wheel, but the changes that it does make to the original make the experience quite a bit better. The game isn't even a year old, and it's already seeing 60% discounts all over the place. It normally retails for $59.99, but on Epic, you can get it for just $23.99, which is a steal for a game that is this good. It does kind of feel like in terms of updating it, it's been a little bit abandoned by EA. There are a few niggling issues on it, but overall the package is stellar. And at $24, you just cannot go wrong. This is such a phenomenal way to play Dead Space. At number 14 is Hogwarts Legacy. One of the biggest games of the year is seeing some pretty big discounts. On PC, it retails for $59.99. The game used to be on sale at $29.99. Already a good price, but there are a few outliers that are bringing it even lower. The best deal I've seen comes from Game Billet, which has it marked down to $24.06, a 60% discount. How long that is going to last, I can't tell you for sure. But if you're a Harry Potter fan that hasn't tried this one out, or just somebody who likes a good open world game, to be frank, I fall in the latter category. This is going to be a pretty cheap one to pick up in 2024. And number 13 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This game still sells regularly for retail price, but we're seeing digital stores sell this one for 50% off. That's $34.99, which obviously I'm not going to pretend is the best deal that has ever happened, but considering the game is less than a year old and $70, $34.99 is pretty good. Also, unlike the first game, Jedi Survivor is a massive game that can take easily over 30 hours to finish, so you're getting your money's worth either way. We had a lot of fun with this one back on April 2023 on consoles. Looks like the PC version has had a lot of issues. I don't know what is with EA and PC ports, but it seems like it's a pretty consistent problem with them. Thankfully, the half-off discount isn't just for PC. We've seen the game on consoles for actually the same price. You can even get a boxed game off GameFly for $34.99 as well. These deals are currently over, but historically they'll be back, so keep an eye out. You're not going to get it much cheaper than this right now, but it's a pretty good price, especially for the amount of game you're getting and the fact that Jedi Survivor is great. At number 12 is the Resident Evil 4 remake. We were actually a little bit skeptical about the Resident Evil remake before release, but wow, did Capcom manage to prove all the doubters wrong. If you're into survival horror games, it's probably one of the best games of 2023. Steam used to have it on sale at $29.99. Green Man Gaming had it at $26.10, and that's not even the lowest the game has gotten. For some reason, the Win a Game store was selling Resident Evil 4 at $14.99, which is an absolute steal. Again, that's a sale that is unfortunately over, but I would keep your eyes peeled because I really doubt that that's gone forever. Capcom arguably managed to make one of the best games of all time better. The original's control scheme leaves a lot to be desired, although later versions of it did include better ways to play. Resident Evil 4's remake is just incredible and a steal at these discounts, especially given that the PC version's pretty solid. At number 11 is Street Fighter 6. A lot of fighting games cater exclusively to their hardcore audience, which limits their appeal and makes it hard to justify paying for them. But Street Fighter 6 isn't just a great fighting game, it's also got a ton of content. It is a pretty big step up from the initially disappointing Street Fighter V, which had the exact opposite thing going on in terms of content, and another contender for one of the best games of the year. It's really, really good. Even if you're not into the competitive scene, there is an extensive single-player mode that's not just a great tutorial, it's a lot of fun on its own. Street Fighter VI came out a little later than the Resi 4 remake, so it's not as cheap quite yet, but it's still pretty good in terms of discounts. The only sales for the game right now are Fanatical, which isn't the best discounts that we've ever seen from Capcom, but if we're already seeing deals like this, I expect the game is going to get even cheaper soon. Moving on to number 10, it's SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. The follow-up for the Battle of Bikini Bottom is a pretty solid platformer that was already pretty cheap, but it's even cheaper now. Normally the game is only $39.99, but right now it's 50% off. I've seen the price even get lower, around 59% off, so $16.22. If you're into old school platforming or you're nostalgic for SpongeBob, it's not a bad discount because the game's pretty damn good for what it is. And number 9 is Remnant 2, a multiplayer Souls-like third-person shooter roguelite it sounds hard to define, but it's pretty damn good. Did you play the first game? Well, it's that, but better. That's Remnant 2 in a nutshell. Normally sells for about $50, but for right now, you can get the game on sale for $29.99. It's not exactly 50% off, but that's a pretty damn good price for a game that's as mysterious as it is addicting. It's another game I highly recommend. It's more varied and interesting than the first Remnant. There's more weird mysteries and secrets. Every discovery kind of feels like a personal accomplishment. It's one of those challenging games that's perfectly possible to solo, at least on standard difficulty, which was not always the case with the first game. Like, the first game is very challenging, but doesn't necessarily always feel fair. This is a weird one, but if you're into weird takes on the Souls formula, this is one of the more interesting ones out there. And number 8 is Armored Core 6, a non-Souls game made by From Software, the company that Souls built. Yeah, they went back to their roots with the original franchise that kept the company afloat, and no surprise here, it's really good. You're not going to see it on discount in most places. It's still full price or close to it in most digital stores, but if you want the game half off, you can get it at GameFly for $34.99 box and all. It's considered used, but the quality of a used game from GameFly is practically new. I've never had problems with games I bought from them, and I have bought quite a few. That doesn't mean they're necessarily in perfect condition, but it's way better than anything you're going to get from GameStop in terms of used games, and especially no-name retailers that sell used games. Armored Core 6 also is another one of those games I'd recommend at basically any price. It is a fantastic action game that is very replayable, but if you're going to get it, you might as well get it cheap, right? And number 7 is Forspoken. Not exactly the most highly rated game of the year, but to the game's credit, Square has been supporting it with patches and updates that have actually pretty significantly improved the experience on PC at least. This game isn't worth the $69.99 retail price. I think that's a large part of why it got so much hate. I mean, realistically speaking, it's not even close to the worst game of the year, and some aspects of it are actually pretty good. There's a lot of cringe to sit through, though. That said, a 60% discount making the game $27.99, I don't know, it might make it worth it to some people, because the game, it has its defenders online. And like I said, there are some things that work. The magic system is actually pretty fun in the system, and the open world is pretty beautiful, and traversal is great. It's a little empty in terms of details, but it looks nice, and it's fun to traverse. This isn't a list of amazing games that are cheap, though. It's a list of games that are cheap. I don't know that I'm going to throw like a terrible game at you, but the fact that I can even say something like that when I'm talking about this game just shows how relevant that price tag is. You see it at a much lower price tag, and you're like, Forspoken's not terrible. It's also less than a year old, so getting it at $27.99 ain't bad. And number 6 is Wolong Fallen Dynasty, basically a Romance of the Three Kingdoms Souls-like. Came out in early 2023 and kind of got forgotten a little bit in the whirlwind of amazing games that came out. Developed by Ninja Gaiden and Neo veterans Team Ninja. It had a couple of rough edges when it first came out, but it's been updated and improved since it came out, and it's in a much better place both on consoles and PC. Team Ninja always stuff their games with content, almost too much sometimes. So you're always getting your money's worth, especially when the game is marked down. The game used to be on sale at 43% on Steam. When you start at $59.99, that's a pretty damn big markdown. But if you go to Green Man Gaming and Fanatical, it's 53% off, and that's like $28. This sale is over, but it's likely to pop up again. The only sales for the game right now are 15% off on Fanatical, which isn't as good, but that's likely to change. If you want basically a grim and gritty take on Dynasty Warriors, that's it. That's what this is. The combat is satisfying as hell, and it's a little more forgiving than your normal Souls game, at least most of the time. At number 5 is Assassin's Creed Mirage. Game's not even 3 months old, and it's already seeing some pretty major price cuts. Was already on the cheaper side. It retailed at $49.99 because it's a shorter game than a typical Assassin's Creed. But depending on how tired you've gotten of the extremely long, bloated Assassin's Creed games, the short length might be a breath of fresh air. The game is being sold digitally on Epic, but the price is right at $34.99, 30% off the regular price. If $50 seemed a little steep for a shorter throwback Assassin's Creed game, the discounted price might be a little more appealing. As a longtime Assassin's Creed fan, going back to the original style was a breath of fresh air. It's kind of hard to delineate a lot of the criticism I have for it quickly, because it's not stuff that makes me not like the game. I kind of like the big Assassin's Creed, and I kind of like the small Assassin's Creed, and it plays somewhere between the two. It's not perfect, but it's now pretty cheap. And number 4 is Talos Principle 2, another really new game. It just came out on November 2nd. That's only about 2 months ago, and it's also another on a long list of contenders for Game of the Year. It is a really good game, and if you're into puzzle games, it's a must-buy. It is fantastic, and even at its retail price, $29.99, it's still pretty cheap. For a game that's 30-40 hours long, that's a great price, and the game also looks fantastic, but you can get it cheaper. The game used to be on sale at 20% off, so $23.99. Again, these deals are currently over, but historically they'll be back, so keep an eye out. That's a pretty damn good price for such a content-packed game. And number 3 is The Crew Motorfest, another Ubisoft game that kind of got forgotten a little bit in the whirlwind of amazing games that is 2023. The Crew Motorfest is a solid improvement of the series formula. It's not set in the entire United States like previous games, but honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's all better designed here. It's more fun to play. It's probably the best game in the series, at least in my opinion. It is an expensive game, though. Normally sells for $69.99. But the Ubisoft store had it at just $34.99, which is much closer to a price I'd recommend. I love a good arcade racer, and if you're getting tired of Forza Horizon, this game is solid the whole way through. And number 2 is Persona 5 Tactica. It's another in a surprisingly solid list of Persona 5 spin-offs. The turn-based tactics retains the style and fun of the main game, while also being basically a completely different game. It's great, though. Like, in all seriousness, this game really does it well. Came out less than 2 months ago, though, and it's already pretty cheap. It's down to $35 on most major retailers like Best Buy and Amazon. If you're looking for some intense tactical depth, you might be a little disappointed here, but I think it's a very good, more than just competent tactical thing. It's just not necessarily novel or extensive. But if you're looking for an excuse to spend more time with the Persona 5 cast, and why wouldn't you be? This game is extremely fun. And finally, at number 1, it's Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Even though this game is only a few weeks old, it's already seen some deep discounts. It's a little bit of a cheat because the deal in question is no longer available, but at least for a little while, the game, which normally costs full retail $69.99, was discounted to $39.99 at Best Buy. The deal didn't last long, but that's a pretty big drop for a game that only just came out. It does have a discount of 25% on the Ubisoft digital store, so if you're looking for somewhere to get it right now, that's a good place for it. This game kind of got overlooked, and I think that it's because it's Avatar. I've played this game and I like it, and every time I talk about it, I talk about how I don't like Avatar. And although Avatar makes tons of money at the box office, it's not really culturally relevant. That doesn't stop this game from being a pretty damn solid Far Cry style open world FPS. And visually, it's among some of the most impressive. It may not be on sale anymore, but a discount like that a few weeks after release indicates you'll probably get to buy it at a pretty low price if you wait. I do have a quick bonus for you as well. You can get Redfall for $4.37 at GameStop. A little bit of a cheat, because honestly, who's going to buy a box copy of Redfall? It's kind of like the ultimate Game Pass game. But if you really have to have it, then GameStop is basically giving it away for a little while. The deal, it's over, and they're back to selling it for full price for some reason. But for a short time, you could get it for $4.37. I'm tempted to joke that any price is too high for Redfall, But they did manage to put out a big patch for it that at least improved the frame rate, so maybe it's not a total lost cause. I mean, it probably is, but Arcane has done so much good in the world. I mean, Dishonored, Deathloop, Prey, they've really given us a lot of gifts, so I'm tempted to cut them a little slack. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanx.